Welcome to the Tech Life Well podcast with Theo Hale and Ariel Wells. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Multimodal generative AI is transforming how we work, create, and communicate. AI and technology are fundamentally rewiring human innovation, health, and wellness in the workplace. Today, we explore how generative systems have evolved from simple chatbots into a multimodal infrastructure that builds text, video, code, and music simultaneously. The mission of this analysis is to help you understand how to navigate this new era of automated creativity.
Yeah, and that jump from, a novelty to actual infrastructure, that is really the defining shift of our time.
Right, because we've all kind of moved past the phase of treating text-based chatbots like party tricks, haven't we?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we are looking at the foundational level now. It's about multimodal mastery.
Okay, unpack that a little for us. Multimodal mastery.
So systems aren't just processing text in an isolated silo anymore. They are simultaneously understanding and generating across all media formats.
Like all at once.
Exactly, all at once.
Well, let's talk about the video side first, because the leap there is just staggering to me. I mean, if you remember the AI-generated videos from just a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, the physics were an absolute nightmare.
Total nightmare. You'd have a character walking down the street and suddenly they'd, melt into a mailbox.
Right, or they'd suddenly grow a sixth finger halfway through the shot.
Yes, the melting hands. So why is that not happening anymore?
Well, that melting effect happened because earlier models were essentially blind to the actual physical world.
Okay.
They were just guessing the next pixel, frame by frame, based on two-dimensional images. But what changed with tools like OpenAI Sora or Runway Gen 4 is the introduction of general world models.
Word models. So they actually understand the world.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah.
They maintain what developers call temporal consistency.
Now, I've seen that term thrown around a lot in our deep dive into the source material. But how are they actually doing it? Are they just better at guessing the pixels now?
No, it's a completely different mechanism now. Yeah. Instead of just pasting pixels together, these systems are actually calculating depth and lighting and three-dimensional geometry in the background.
Oh, wow. So it's like a video game engine.
Kind of. Like if the camera pans around a coffee cup, the model understands that the back of the cup still exists, even when it's out of frame.
That is wild.
It is. It's simulating light refraction through the glass. It simulates the actual physics of the scene.
And it's doing this across all senses, right? Because Suno is another great example of this.
Right, the music generation.
Yeah, because we aren't talking about generic, royalty-free elevator music anymore.
Not at all.
It's generating radio-quality, full vocal tracks where it actually understands song structure. It knows what a verse, a chorus, and a bridge are.
And it understands emotional delivery, too. All at once.
Right. But, if you work in any kind of creative or knowledge field, this concept of the content stack is what's really going to fundamentally rewire your workflow.
Absolutely. Because you don't just ask the AI to write a blog post anymore.
No, far from it.
You give it one high-level prompt, and in one continuous workflow, it generates a long-form article.
Yeah.
Then it writes a summarized social media thread.
Right.
Then it renders a vertical video with consistent characters, and it synthesizes an AI-voiced audio breakdown.
It literally builds an entire media campaign from a single thought. That is just crazy.
And the engine driving that stack is agentic AI. We have moved from passive models, ones that just sit there waiting for your prompt.
Right, the old chatbots.
Exactly. We've moved from that to autonomous agents.
Okay, but I want to pause there. What does autonomous actually mean in this context? Because when people hear that, it sounds like it's just, thinking for itself, which I know isn't technically true.
That is a vital distinction to make. No, it doesn't possess independent thought or consciousness.
Right, good to clarify.
What an agent does is take a high-level goal and break it down into a multi-step chain of reasoning. It maps out the dependencies.
Like a project manager.
Yes, exactly. It says, first, I need to search the web for recent data on this topic. Then I need to draft an outline.
Okay.
Then I need to send that outline to a secondary critique module to check for errors.
So it's checking its own work.
Yes. It isn't just text predicting text anymore. An agent will write a piece of code, run that code in a sandbox environment, see that it failed, read the error log, rewrite the code, and test it again.
Wait, it reads its own error logs?
Yeah. It calls external APIs, it critiques its own work, and it just iterates. And all of that happens in the background without a human ever needing to click next or write a follow-up prompt.
I mean, this is exactly what spreadsheets did to arithmetic, right? Or what cloud computing did to physical servers.
That's a great analogy, yeah.
It takes something that used to require a team of highly trained specialists and just turns it into an everyday accessible infrastructure. But, okay, that brings up a massive question for me. If the distance between having a raw idea and publishing a highly polished, finished prototype is essentially zero, what happens to the value of the idea itself?
Well, that question gets to the very heart of the new AI economy.
Right.
Because if execution is instantly scalable and nearly free, economic value completely shifts. And to understand the scale of that shift, the projections from McKinsey are honestly illuminating.
Okay, label us.
They suggest that generative AI could add between $2.6 and $4.4 trillion annually to the global economy.
Trillion. With a T.
With a T.
I mean, that is larger than the entire GDP of many developed nations, just conjured out of increased efficiency.
And that value is highly concentrated, by the way. About 75% of those gains fall into customer operations, marketing and sales, software engineering, and R&D.
R&D, like research and development.
Yeah. Think about R&D for a second. We aren't just talking about generating marketing copy here. We're talking about synthesizing thousands of material science papers to suggest a new chemical compound for a battery.
Oh, wow. Or analyzing complex protein structures. The time from a hypothesis to a viable test is shrinking from months down to days.
That's incredible. And it seems like major corporations have entirely exited the experimental phase with this stuff.
Oh, they have. They are deploying commercially safe AI tools, like Adobe Firefly, for instance.
Where the training data is legally cleared, right?
Exactly, completely cleared. And they're achieving massive, quantifiable results.
Yeah, the corporate examples are just incredible. Like Amazon Fresh. They cut the production time for their on-brand visual assets by 93%.
93% is just unheard of.
Right, and Mattel used it for packaging design and brought the cost of generating new physical samples down to zero.
Wow.
Coca-Cola scaled their creative content output 10 times faster without dropping quality. But honestly, software development might be the most dramatic transformation.
Oh, without a doubt.
Microsoft Research ran a controlled experiment and found that developers using GitHub Copilot completed their tasks 55.8% faster than those coding manually, which fundamentally changes the anatomy of a workday. I mean, it leads to the rise of what the industry is calling the centaur worker.
The centaur. Half human, half machine. I love this framing so much.
It perfectly captures the dynamic, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The most effective workers right now are centaurs.
Right.
They use the AI for raw speed, data synthesis, and all the heavy lifting of drafting code or copy, but they rely on their human half to provide what Google calls EEAT.
What does that stand for again?
Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because when you hire a consultant or an agency, you aren't just paying for the final PDF report.
No, of course not.
You are paying for the assurance that the person handing it to you actually knows what they are doing. AI can write the PDF flawlessly, sure, but it doesn't have lived experience.
Right.
It can't sit across the boardroom table, read the room, understand a client's unspoken anxieties, and build trust.
Yeah, you can't automate empathy.
Exactly. So the human provides the authority, while the AI provides the velocity. And this is incredibly empowering for small businesses and junior workers because it instantly levels the playing field for production.
Okay, I have to push back on this rosy productivity narrative for a second, though.
Sure, go ahead.
Because it sounds like we are turning every entry-level worker into an executive manager who just, delegates tasks to a team of specialized AI bots.
Basically, yes.
But if the AI is doing all the basic drafting, all the routine coding, and all the initial problem solving, how do junior workers ever get the thousands of hours of practice they need to become true experts?
That is a huge concern.
Like, if you never write bad code, how do you learn to spot it?
That is honestly one of the most severe structural risks we face right now. Historically, the whole apprenticeship model relied on junior staff doing the routine, tedious work.
Right, yeah.
That's how they learn the mechanics of their trade. You learn to write great contracts by reviewing hundreds of boring ones.
Yeah, exactly. The reps. You have to get your reps in.
If generative AI completely automates the bottom rung of the ladder, we face a potential hollowing out of skill development.
Hollowing out.
Yeah, the risk is a future where we have a lot of managers of AI, but very few master practitioners who actually understand the underlying architecture.
That's terrifying, honestly.
It is. Organizations have to intentionally design workflows that keep humans in the loop. not just for quality control, but for the sake of human learning and cognitive development.
Which makes total sense.
Yeah.
But, taking it a step further, if we all have access to this perfect content stack, and the AI can handle all this baseline production so flawlessly, I keep wondering, is the internet just going to flatten into a sea of identical, flawless, boring content?
Well,
What happens to human uniqueness?
in many corners of the internet, that flattening has already happened.
Really?
Already.
Oh yeah, the World Economic Forum Insights actually address this directly. They warn about the massive threat of brand sameness.
Brand sameness. Yeah, we have to understand the mechanics of why this occurs. Generative models, fundamentally, are statistical prediction engines.
Okay.
They are trained on massive data sets of existing human output. So by definition, they are designed to produce the most probable, mathematically correct sequence of words or pixels.
Which means they regress to the mean.
Exactly.
They just produce the ultimate perfect average.
That's the core of it right there. When you rely entirely on AI without human intervention, you get a world saturated in what researchers are calling AI slop.
Ugh. AI slot. That sounds awful.
It's just high volume, low quality, mathematically average content. Careless AI use strips away the friction that actually creates distinct brand identities.
Right.
And because of this, human creativity is actually becoming more valuable, not less.
That feels like a paradox, but it makes total sense when you think about it.
How so?
Well, think about the music industry when auto-tune was introduced.
Oh, that's a good comparison.
Right. Suddenly, every single pop vocal could be pitch perfect. It removed all the errors. But very quickly, that perfect synthetic sound just became standard. It became cheap.
It does everywhere.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
what became the new premium? The raw, slightly off-key acoustic vocal.
Yeah.
The breath into the microphone, the scrape of fingers on guitar strings. The human flaw became the high-value, authentic experience we all craved because it was, proof of life.
That is a brilliant way to frame it. Proof of life. As AI perfects the technical execution of media, human quirks, emotional nuances, and unpredictable creative leaps, those become your highest value differentiators.
Right.
The fundamental skill in the creative industries is undergoing a massive shift. Professionals are evolving from crafting technical expressions like manually pushing pixels or writing syntax
So what?
to architecting humanity.
Architecting humanity.
Yeah.
I really, really like that phrase.
Yeah, it means the professional's job is now to direct the AI systems, to inject human expertise, and to advise executives on how to maintain a brand's specific culture and soul in a sea of synthetic perfection.
So the goal isn't just commercial efficiency anymore.
Exactly. The goal is cultural resonance.
But that leads us to a really difficult practical problem, doesn't it?
Always does.
How do you actually prove your humanity and your quirks to an audience when synthetic media looks and sounds so incredibly real?
Right.
I mean, if a completely autonomous AI agent can generate a video of a person crying with perfect emotional resonance, how does the viewer know what's real? And more importantly, who owns it?
Well, we are now standing at the edge of the copyright chasm.
The copyright chasm.
This is the fiercest structural battleground of the generative era. You have the rapid pace of technological innovation colliding head-on with legal frameworks that were built for the analog world.
And the tension here is just palpable because we have to talk about the massive pushback from human creators on this. There was a highly publicized movement where 11,500 artists publicly decried the unlicensed use of their life's work being scraped into AI training datasets.
Which is completely understandable.
Right, because from their perspective, their specialized labor was harvested without permission or compensation to build the very machines that are now automating their industries.
Yeah, and institutions are slowly mobilizing to address this. The U.S. Copyright Office has been running massive initiatives to deal with these exact issues.
What kind of initiatives?
They're issuing multi-part reports looking at the copyrightability of AI-generated works, the legality of the training data itself, and the rise of digital replicas. We are seeing foundational decisions being made in landmark cases like Surios and Zarya the Dawn.
Okay, let's break those down because the details really matter here. Zarya the Dawn was a comic book.
Yes, exactly.
The creator used Midjourney to generate the images, but she wrote the story and arranged the pages herself. And the Copyright Office ruled that the AI-generated images themselves couldn't be copyrighted because they weren't authored by a human.
Right, but there was a caveat.
The human's specific arrangement of those images and the text they wrote could be protected.
Which is huge. It establishes a crucial boundary. The human curation and arrangement are protected, but the raw synthetic output is essentially public domain.
Wow.
And then you have Surreast, which was an AI-generated artwork that was just flat out denied copyright registration entirely.
Totally denied.
Completely. And it creates a massive gray area for businesses. If you use an AI to generate an entire marketing campaign, you might not legally own any of the visuals you just paid to produce.
Which means anyone could just copy them.
Literally anyone.
Which is wild to think about from a corporate risk perspective. It's forcing a complete reevaluation of what constitutes a protected asset.
Oh, absolutely.
And what's fascinating here is the emergence of digital identity as an asset.
Yes.
Because AI can perfectly replicate a face, a voice, and behavioral mannerisms. High-profile influencers and celebrities are now signing deals, some reportedly worth $1 billion, to license their digital likeness.
It's crazy. It allows a creator to effectively clone themselves.
Yeah?
They can record multiple podcasts in different languages simultaneously without ever stepping into a studio. Their identity basically becomes a scalable platform.
Okay, but look at the structural contradiction we are setting up here.
What do you mean?
We keep talking about how this technology democratizes creativity. It allows a small business owner in their garage to create a Hollywood-style cinematic advertisement for pennies.
Right.
But at the exact same time, to build these foundational models, it requires billions of dollars of computing power.
Massive amounts of compute.
We're talking about server farms that require their own dedicated power plants. We're talking about hoarding tens of thousands of specialized GPUs. It is centralizing the actual power, the data, and the wealth into just a handful of massive tech platforms. So I have to ask, are we actually removing the bottleneck, or are we just moving it somewhere else?
That is the defining structural challenge of this decade, because there is a geographic reality to all of this data gathering and compute power.
Right, it's not everywhere.
It isn't evenly distributed at all. The MDPI bibliometric review we looked at highlights this perfectly. The research, the funding, and the platform ownership are overwhelmingly dominated by North America and parts of East Asia.
Meaning the companies building the models and setting the rules for the models are all concentrated in just a few specific regions.
Which naturally creates a massive geographic asymmetry. Generative AI models are not neutral, unthinking calculators.
They have biases.
They reflect the language, the cultural norms, and the frameworks of the data they are trained on, as well as the engineers who build them. If this technology becomes the default infrastructure for global communication, but it is heavily consolidated in specific hubs, we risk a scenario where global output is flattened into the specific worldview of just a few regions.
Oh, wow. So the cultural diversity of the world could be subtly overwritten by the default settings of the dominant platforms.
Exactly, which ties perfectly back to that warning about brand sameness we discussed earlier, but on a macro, global scale.
Yeah, if we aren't careful, we don't just lose individual quirks, we lose cultural nuances.
The adoption of AI isn't just a technical challenge anymore, it's a profound systemic challenge. The platforms hold immense power, and the frameworks we build right now around copyright, data ownership, and regional representation, they're going to shape the creative economy for decades.
So as we wrap up, let's bring it all back down to earth, to your daily life. The era of the content stack and the Centaur worker is here. Generative AI is no longer a party trick, it is your new co-pilot. It will save you time, boost your productivity, and allow you to execute ideas at a scale that was physically impossible just a few years ago. But the goal isn't to let the machine do the driving.
No, not at all.
The goal is to use the machine's speed to elevate your human judgment, your lived experience, and your unique perspective.
Because as the baseline of production goes to zero, the premium on human trust, empathy, and strategic thinking just skyrockets.
Right.
The technical execution is commoditized, the human connection is the luxury.
Which leaves me with one final, slightly provocative thought for you to mull over as you go about your day.
Let's hear it.
As our feeds, our inboxes, and our entertainment become flooded with perfectly generated instant AI content, will we eventually see a premium 100% human-made certification for digital content and art?
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Much like we look for that organic label on our groceries to ensure quality and origin. In a world where machines can perfectly mimic everything we do, will human effort itself become the ultimate luxury good? We appreciate you listening. Follow the Tech Life Wall podcast for future episodes and updates.